Rocket fuel, the one essential combination that will get you more of what you want from your business. By Gino, Wickman and Winters. Have you ever felt that bone-deep frustration when you've got this incredible, world-changing idea but you're stuck spinning your wheels, unable to bring it to life? Picture this. A guy inherits his family's business. It's not just a company, it's his entire legacy. But here's the problem. The ship is sinking, and he's just been handed the captain's wheel. He's working himself to exhaustion, pouring everything he's got into saving it. He can see exactly where he wants to go, crystal clear. But the day-to-day chaos, it's absolutely drowning him. All those details, the constant management, the fires popping up everywhere. It's like trying to navigate through a hurricane while scooping water out of your boat with a teaspoon. He feels trapped, overwhelmed, and completely out of his depth. The business that was supposed to set him free has become his prison. This was young Gino Wickman's reality, long before he became the celebrated business thinker we know today. And here's the thing. His struggle is the same struggle facing countless entrepreneurs, founders, and creators right now. It's this silent epidemic of brilliant minds burning themselves out, not because they lack vision, but because they're drowning under the impossible weight of trying to be both the dreamer and the person who makes dreams happen. But what if working harder isn't the answer? What if the solution isn't some new productivity trick or a fancier to-do list? What if the real secret to building something amazing isn't about what one superhuman person can accomplish, but what two people, working in perfect sync, can create together? Today, we're exploring a book that reveals exactly this secret. It's called Rocket Fuel, by Gino Wickman and Winters. This isn't your typical business book filled with corporate jargon. It's genuinely eye-opening. It introduces a powerful concept that's transformed thousands of companies, rescued partnerships from disaster, and freed entrepreneurs from the very frustrations holding them captive. By the time we're done, you'll understand the single most powerful partnership in business. You'll discover whether you have the DNA of a visionary or an integrator. These are the two roles that, when combined, create the explosive force the authors call rocket fuel. You'll see the hidden dynamic behind legendary companies like Disney, Ford, and McDonald's. And most importantly, you'll walk away with a practical blueprint to apply this magic to your own life, your projects, and your future. This is the key to getting more of what you want, not just from your business, but from your entire life. Let's dive in. Every great story, every epic adventure starts with a hero. But here's what this book reveals. The greatest adventures actually require two heroes. Not a hero and a sidekick, but two equally powerful champions, each bringing completely different superpowers to the table. The authors call them the Visionary and the Integrator. To understand their power, we need to meet them individually first. And as we explore them, ask yourself this question: which one sounds more like you? Let's meet the visionary first. The visionary is the founding entrepreneur, the dreamer, the creator. This person's mind is like a tornado of ideas. They've got 10 new ideas before breakfast. And sure, 9 might be a bit wild, but that 10th one? That one is pure gold. That's the one that launches companies and reshapes entire industries. Visionaries see the future before anyone else. They've got their finger on the pulse of their industry, spotting connections and patterns that everyone else completely misses. They paint vivid pictures of destinations that don't even exist yet. Think about Walt Disney, dreaming up a magical kingdom in the middle of a Florida swamp. Or Steve Jobs, envisioning 1,000 songs in your pocket when everyone else was fumbling with clunky MP3 players. They're absolutely fantastic with the big stuff, the major relationships, the game-changing deals, the huge problems. But here's where things get tricky. The smaller and more detailed things get, the faster they lose interest. Their energy is endless when they're creating something new, but it just evaporates when they have to actually manage things. And this is where the visionary's greatest gift becomes their biggest challenge. For all their brilliance, visionaries can be walking hurricanes of chaos. They get bored ridiculously easily. Once an idea is off the ground and running, the day-to-day grind of actually running the business feels like being locked in a cage. So naturally, they shake things up a bit, just to keep it interesting. They burst in with a shiny new idea, and the whole organization gets pumped up. There's this beautiful 90-day spike where everyone's crushing it. But then, the visionary gets bored again, and everything crashes down. This creates what the authors call organizational whiplash. The company is so tuned into the visionary that when they suddenly turn their head to chase a new shiny object, the entire organization snaps hard to the right. Then, a week later, they spin left toward yet another idea, and, whip, the organization tries to follow, but nobody can keep up anymore. Eventually, everyone's dizzy, exhausted, and has absolutely no clue where they're actually heading. Visionaries struggle with holding people accountable, they genuinely hate dealing with details, and they have a hard time communicating their vision clearly. In their mind, it's this beautiful, sweeping symphony. But when they try to explain it to their team, all everyone hears is a series of confusing thumps. Does this sound familiar? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your parent, a mentor you had, or a boss you've worked for. This is the visionary. They make up just 3% of the population, yet they create 2/3 of all new jobs. The world as we know it simply wouldn't exist without them. But here's the critical part. They cannot, and absolutely should not, do it alone. Because for every great visionary out there, there's an unsung hero working quietly behind the scenes. This is the second hero of our story, the integrator. If the visionary is the dreamer, the integrator is the realist who actually makes the dream come true. They're the glue, holding the people, the processes, and the strategy of the company together. They're the one who takes the visionary's grand, swirling symphony and turns it into readable sheet music that everyone in the orchestra can actually follow and play. The integrator genuinely loves running the day-to-day operations of the business. Where the visionary gets bored with details, the integrator absolutely thrives on them. They lead, they manage, and they hold people accountable. They clear obstacles out of the way, create crystal clear organization, and make sure the trains are literally running on time. Think back to the Disney brothers for a moment. Everyone knows Walt, the incredible visionary, but how many people have heard of his older brother, Roy? And honestly, Roy preferred it that way. Walt was the creative genius. Roy was the one keeping the business stable and afloat. Walt himself once said, "If it hadn't been for my big brother, I swear I would have been in jail several times for bouncing checks. I never knew what was in the bank. He kept me on the straight and narrow." That's the integrator in action. They're the steady force, the voice of reason. They harmoniously integrate all the major functions of a business, sales, operations, finance, and get everyone rowing in the exact same direction. They filter the visionary's endless flood of ideas, protecting the organization from that whiplash we talked about, and focusing precious resources on the ideas that truly matter. But being an integrator comes with its own unique challenges. They're often the unsung heroes. They rarely get the spotlight or the glory. They're often seen as the pessimist, the glass-half-empty person, because it's literally their job to poke holes in ideas and spot the potential problems that the ever-optimistic visionary completely overlooks. They often have to be the bad guy. They have to say no. They have to make the tough calls, deliver the hard news, and hold people to standards that can feel uncomfortable. It can be a genuinely lonely job. One integrator in the book puts it perfectly. "Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who knows I'm holding things together, because it all happens behind the scenes." That can be really lonely at times. So now we have our two heroes clearly in view. The visionary, this force of brilliant, chaotic creation, and the integrator, this force of disciplined, laser-focused execution. Individually, they're powerful, but they're also incomplete. A visionary without an integrator is just a dreamer, overflowing with ideas that never actually see the light of day. There's an old proverb that captures this perfectly. Vision without execution is just hallucination. An integrator without a visionary might run an incredibly tight ship, But that ship might have absolutely no destination. But when you bring them together, that's when you get rocket fuel. The authors describe this relationship using the ancient Chinese concept of yin and yang, two forces that seem like complete opposites but are actually deeply interconnected, interdependent, and give rise to each other. It's not about one being superior to the other. They're different, but they're absolutely equal. Together, they form this dynamic system where the whole becomes far greater than the sum of its parts. This isn't just some nice-sounding theory. It's a pattern that shows up again and again throughout the history of truly great companies. We've already talked about Walt and Roy Disney. Let's look at Henry Ford. Everyone knows Ford as the visionary innovator who put America on wheels. But how many people know the name James Couzens? Couzens was Ford's integrator. He handled the books, managed the factory floor, and built the entire dealership network. He was absolutely fanatical about the details. There's this stunning quote in the book from a Ford family descendant. He said, "Ford, by himself, could not have managed a small grocery store, and Couzens could not have assembled a child's kiddie car. Yet together they built an organization that astounded the world." That's the raw power of the visionary integrator duo. Another perfect example, Ray Kroc, the visionary who saw the potential in a small hamburger stand and built the McDonald's empire. His integrator was a guy named Fred Turner. Turner started out as a grill man and became Kroc's right-hand man. He was the one who created that fanatical consistency across all the franchises, writing the operational Bible and creating Hamburger University to train franchisees. Kroc had the vision, absolutely, but Turner built the system that allowed that vision to scale around the entire globe. So if this partnership is the secret sauce, the actual rocket fuel, how do you make it work in real life? How do you take these two polar opposite personalities and keep them from simply destroying each other? Because make no mistake, the natural state of this relationship is tension. The visionary wants to leap first and figure out the parachute on the way down. The integrator wants to have every detail of that parachute figured out, tested, and triple-checked before they take even the first step. They absolutely will drive each other crazy. But here's the beautiful part. The book explains that this tension, when you harness it correctly, is actually where the power comes from. It's like the positive and negative terminals of a battery. That difference is exactly what creates the charge. To harness that charge, the authors provide a clear, practical blueprint. It starts with structure. They introduce a tool called the accountability chart. This isn't your typical dusty organizational chart that nobody looks at. It's a simple, powerful tool for defining who is truly accountable for what, and it has a very specific structure. At the very top, there's one box, the visionary. Reporting directly to the visionary and only to the visionary is the next box, the integrator. And then, every other major function of the business, sales, operations, finance, all of it, reports directly to the integrator. This structure is absolutely critical. It accomplishes two crucial things. First, it establishes that the visionary sets the vision and direction, but the integrator is the one responsible for executing it through the team. Second, it creates a single point of contact for the rest of the leadership team. It stops that organizational whiplash because the team isn't trying to follow two different leaders anymore. They follow one, the integrator, who is in perfect lockstep with the visionary. Once the structure is crystal clear, the next step is establishing the rules of engagement. The authors lay out 5 simple, absolutely non-negotiable rules for the visionary-integrator relationship. Rule 1. Stay on the same page. This is completely non-negotiable. The visionary and integrator must meet regularly, outside the office, for what the authors call a same-page meeting. This isn't just a business check-in, it's a relationship check-in. They discuss their issues, their ideas, their frustrations, and they do not end that meeting until they are 100% on the same page. Any tiny gap between them will look like a massive canyon to the rest of the team. Rule 2. No end runs. An end run is when an employee goes around their manager, in this case, the integrator, to get a different answer from the visionary. This is absolute poison to an organization. It completely undermines the integrator's authority and creates instant chaos. The rule is beautifully simple. If an employee comes to the visionary with an issue, the visionary listens and then asks the question, "Are you going to tell your integrator, or am I?" Because one of us needs to. This single question shuts down office politics and reinforces the proper structure. Rule 3. The integrator is the tiebreaker. On a healthy leadership team, most decisions will be agreed upon naturally. But when the team is genuinely stuck, when there's a 50-50 split on a major issue, someone has to make the final call. That person is the integrator. This might sound scary for a visionary, but here's the thing. A great integrator, who's deep in the day-to-day details, is often in a much better position to make that call for the greater good of the business. Consensus management simply doesn't work. It leads to paralysis. This rule keeps the organization moving forward. Rule 4. You are an employee when working in the business. This is specifically for visionaries who are also owners. It's a crucial distinction that prevents so much dysfunction. There's an owner hat and an employee hat. When you're sitting in the visionary seat on that accountability chart, you're an employee of the company. You have a specific role. You have clear responsibilities, and you must play by the same rules as everyone else. Your owner status doesn't give you a free pass to meddle or ignore the structure. This rule prevents that owner's entitlement that can absolutely wreck a healthy culture. And finally, Rule 5. Maintain mutual respect. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. The visionary and integrator must genuinely trust and respect each other. You can't fake this. The visionary must treat the integrator as a true equal partner, not as a subordinate. The integrator must respect the visionary's unique gift for creation and innovation. Without this mutual respect, the natural friction between them becomes destructive instead of creative, and the relationship is doomed from the start. With the structure of the accountability chart and the 5 rules in place, the visionary integrator duo has a powerful framework for success. But what if you don't have your counterpart yet? What if you're a visionary flying solo, or an integrator still waiting to be discovered? The book dedicates a significant portion to the art of matchmaking. It acknowledges a difficult truth right up front. Finding the right integrator is genuinely hard. The authors cite a profiling expert who estimates that for every 4 visionaries in the world, there's only one true integrator. A 4-to-1 ratio. And it's not just any integrator you need. You have to find the specific one whose puzzle piece fits yours perfectly. The book lays out a clear, 7-step process for a visionary to find their match. From defining exactly what they need, to mapping their own profile, to actively searching, carefully interviewing, and finally, properly onboarding their new partner. And for the integrators out there, the ones perhaps feeling stuck in some large corporation where their gift for execution is being stifled by endless bureaucracy, the book sends out a genuine call to action. It tells them that the world of small, entrepreneurial businesses desperately needs them. It gives them a practical guide for how to find a visionary whose passion they can genuinely share and whose dream they can help build into reality. But the final, and perhaps most important lesson in this entire journey is the need for patience. The authors are brutally honest about this reality. Even when you find what seems like the perfect match, that first year is going to be bumpy. It takes a full year, on average, for the visionary-integrator relationship to really hit its stride. In that first year, the visionary will likely experience something the book calls visionary's remorse. As they start letting go of the day-to-day tasks they've held onto for so long, they can feel like they've been put out to pasture. They might feel like they're no longer contributing in the same valuable way. It's genuinely an identity crisis. The book coaches them through this, reminding them that their value isn't in frantic activity, but in creativity. As one wise client puts it, don't mistake activity for productivity. Creativity is productivity. It just doesn't feel like it at first. There's this wonderful story in the book about Michael Morse, a visionary who hired his integrator, John. To get things started right, Michael created an integrator wish list. This long list of every idea, worry, and priority he had bouncing around in his mind that he wanted his new integrator to tackle. They worked from that list every single day for the entire first year. But even with this level of clarity, Michael admits, in the first year I had my doubts. Frankly, I was convinced it wasn't going to work. I was frustrated, disappointed, mad about things. Everything wasn't moving fast enough for me. And then, something genuinely magical happened. He says, all of a sudden, at exactly the 1-year mark, I realized something. He's actually really good at this. It took a full year of patience, of working the system, of building genuine trust, for the rocket fuel to truly ignite. Today their firm has tripled in size, a living testament to their powerful partnership. This is the journey that rocket fuel lays out. It's a journey of self-discovery. Are you the one who dreams of the destination, or the one who draws the detailed map to actually get there? It's a journey of partnership, of finding that one specific person whose strengths perfectly complement your weaknesses. And it's a journey of discipline, of building the right structure and following the rules that allow that partnership to not just survive, but to genuinely thrive and to launch your shared vision into the stratosphere. When you finish a book like Rocket Fuel, it genuinely changes how you see the world around you. You start spotting visionaries and integrators everywhere. In history books, in the news, in the businesses you visit, even within your own family dynamics. It gives you this new lens for understanding why some partnerships flourish while others crash and burn. The most powerful lesson for me is how it completely shatters the myth of the lone genius. We have this deeply romanticized image of the solo founder, the single brilliant mind toiling away alone in some garage who single-handedly builds an empire. This book gently but firmly tells us that this is mostly fantasy. Greatness is almost never a solo act. For every Walt Disney, there was a Roy Disney working behind the scenes. For every Henry Ford, there was a James Couzens. For every dreamer, there was a doer, making the dream tangible and real. This is an incredibly liberating idea when you really let it sink in. It means you don't have to be good at everything. In fact, you really shouldn't try to be. The book essentially gives you permission to be exactly who you are, to lean fully into your natural talents, and to find someone else to handle the rest. If you're a visionary, you're freed from the tyranny of details that absolutely drain your energy. If you're an integrator, you're validated for your unique and essential talent of bringing order to chaos and making things actually happen. So, what can we take away from this and apply to our own lives, starting right now, today? First, the most important step is to honestly ask yourself, which one am I? Go back and read those descriptions again. Think carefully about what genuinely gives you energy and what completely drains it. Are you the idea person who gets bored senseless with implementation? You're likely a visionary. Do you genuinely love taking a great idea and creating a detailed plan to execute it flawlessly? You're probably an integrator. Knowing yourself is truly the first step to unlocking your full potential. The book even provides specific assessments to help you figure this out clearly. Second, take a close look at the teams and partnerships in your life right now. It could be a business, a school project, or even how your family actually runs. Is there a clear visionary and a clear integrator working together? Or is one person desperately trying to be both? Or even worse, are two visionaries constantly creating whiplash, or two integrators arguing endlessly over details with no one actually setting the direction? Just seeing your current situation through this lens can bring incredible clarity to what's actually going on. And third, embrace the real power of structure and rules. The accountability chart and the 5 rules aren't about creating corporate bureaucracy. They're about creating freedom through discipline. They create genuine clarity, reduce unnecessary friction, and allow people to actually do their best work. Even in a simple 2-person project, just defining who is ultimately accountable for the vision and who is accountable for the execution can prevent countless arguments and frustrations down the road. In the end, Rocket Fuel is about so much more than just business success. It's fundamentally a book about synergy. It's about the incredible power that gets unleashed when two complementary forces come together in a spirit of mutual respect and truly shared purpose. It teaches us that the key to achieving our biggest dreams might not be something we discover within ourselves, but rather someone we find in the world, a counterpart who sees what we see, but from a completely different angle, and who is genuinely willing to join us on the journey to make it real. That was a summary of Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman and Mark C. Winters. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I need to be completely honest with you. A summary is like looking at a map of some beautiful country. It can show you the major landmarks and the general path, but it can never replace the actual experience of walking that terrain yourself. The real magic of this book lives in the detailed stories, the specific examples, and those quiet moments where a certain phrase just clicks, and you see your own life in a completely new light. This summary is really just a doorway. If anything we've discussed today has sparked something in you, I genuinely encourage you to walk through it. Grab a copy of the book for yourself, because the experience of actually reading it can genuinely change how you see yourself, your partnerships, and your real potential. The link is right there in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable today, please take just a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know we're on the right track together, and it ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another potentially life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.